Shalom, Erev Tov, good afternoon, good evening, good morning on the west coast of the States. Great to see everybody here. I'm Jay Shofet, coming to you live from Tel Aviv, another in our series of live webinars we've been doing pretty much 10 months a year, every couple weeks since the beginning of COVID. And we have an exciting webinar tonight. I believe for the first time, we're hosting Guy Seli. I'll introduce Guy in a minute. He's the dapper gentleman in the hat, and we may have a surprise guest at the end, a personal account from retired General Baruch Spiegel. General Spiegel is one of the founders of this entire initiative, an incredible initiative we're going to hear about. Tzava Laganat Teva, the Army for the Protection of Nature, or Nature Defense Forces, depending on how you're calling it. It's a cooperation between SPNI and the IDF to protect nature in the vast territorial area that Sahel operates in Israel in times of peace and in times of war. We'll get to that in a minute. Letting people join here for a couple minutes. Have about 60 people already. Please, yes, let us know where you're from. Great to see everybody here from Norway and Modi'in. Belgrade, Los Angeles, rainy Los Angeles. Wow, that's interesting. I believe it probably only rains not often in LA. Um, Ramat Beit Shemesh, Birmingham, England. You see Guy and General Spiegel. We have a international audience with us as usual. Valencia, Spain. Wow. Do we have anybody from the States here? California and Brookline, Massachusetts and Baltimore, but also the Netherlands. What? Toronto. Of course, Paris, Florida, Maggie and Leon. Hello, Leon and Maggie. Great to see you. Leon Sokol, longtime board chair of SPNI, Nature Israel, ASPNI, that is, our U.S. affiliate. Great to welcome all of our volunteers, supporters, interested parties from all over the world abroad. We uh, we hope everybody is enjoying themselves and everybody's doing well wherever you are in the globe. We're going in just a second. Um, Nama Gat, as usual, doing back office from her home in the Sharon region of Israel. I'm coming to you from Tel Aviv. Evening has fallen in Tel Aviv, and Guy will be coming to you from his home in Tivon, in the coastal plain, a little north of between Tel Aviv and Haifa. I'm not sure where Baruch lives, but he can let us know. But hello, everybody from Philadelphia and Sharon and Farmington Hills. Great to see you here, Sharon. Ted Tapper. Ted came on a trip long ago. Ted, great to see you from Philly. Ted, I'll be in Philly. I'm gonna go be going to the States with Dan Alone, our CEO. We'll be a couple weeks together in New York, LA, Toronto, San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Santa Fe. And then I'll be staying on another week or so by myself, Boston, Chicago, and Philly. So let us know if you're in those areas. I'm going to try to reach out to many of you and hopefully we'll see you. So let's get moving though. Wow, really interesting webinar tonight. It's been too long. We haven't had this webinar. Tzavala Haganat Teva, the Nature Defense Forces, is directed by Guy Seli. Hello, Guy. Welcome.
Hello.
Guy is the founding director for 12 years now. We've been doing this really important initiative with a lot of partners. You can see the logos, and Guy will explain that more. Guy worked previously in the Israel Nature and Parks Authority. I think he was an SPNI before that, came to the Nature and Parks Authority. We have him back for the uh, last 12 years. On our last mission to Israel, we met Guy in the Golan Heights. He gave us a very interesting tour around. We went to an incredible lookout point that I think very few civilians ever see. Really interesting in honor of a Druze officer that fell, and really interesting stuff you're doing. Also with the Antiquities Authority, we were privileged to see some of that. And Guy, take it away. Really looking forward. And leave 10, 15 minutes at the end for questions if they'll come up. I'll feed them
Sure.
to you, and maybe we'll hear from Baruch as well. So, Toda rabah, Guy.
So, thank you very much. Thank you, Jay. So, my name is Guy. I'm the manager of Nature Defense Force. Commanders take responsibility for their environment. We will start with a short video, and I hope you'll enjoy.
זה סיפור על האנשים שמגינים על הארץ. הם שומרים עלינו 24/7. באוויר, בים וביבשה. בכל נקודה על המפה, הם שם. הם סמל לגבורה, אומץ ודבקות במטרה.
אנחנו כמפקדים אחראים לביצוע המשימה, להתכונן לכל מצב שהם יוכלו לפגוש בשטח.
עובדים פה אלפי חיילים, כולם משרתים את אותה משימה ועובדים כדי שמה שאמרתי יקרה.
אתה לא יכול להתעלם, אתה חייב לעשות משהו שהוא גם מעבר.
והם לקחו על עצמם משימה נוספת. הכירו את המיזם הצה"לי לשמירת הטבע בישראל.
החלטנו לקחת אחריות ולשמור על הטבע.
צבא הגנה לטבע. מפקדים לוקחים אחריות על סביבתם. הוא מיזם של צה"ל, החברה להגנת הטבע, קרן הדוכיפת ורשות הטבע והגנים. כל יחידה ומפקדיה מובילים מיזמים המשפרים את המציאות הסביבתית ומאתגרים את עצמם למקסימום יכולות, תוך שמירה והגנה על ערכי הטבע, הנוף והמורשת.
הכוונה של הבסיס היא קודם כל שכל חייל שמגיע לפה ידע שהוא נמצא בשמורת טבע מוכרת וגם ייגע בה.
זה המורשת שאנחנו נשאיר לאלה שיבואו אחרינו, זה השטח שלנו.
כשאתה נמצא בתוך טבע, בתוך עולם שמכיל גם ירוק, גם בעלי חיים, דברים שהם שמורה לכל דבר. אתה חייב להיות חלק מתוך השמורה הזאת, אתה לא יכול להתעלם ממנו.
המיזם עוסק ב5 תחומים: שימור מינים בסיכון, שימור בתי גידול, תכנון מקיים שמירת טבע, אימוץ אתר, העלאת מודעות לשמירה על הטבע.
Guy, people can't see the subtitles.
Oh,
It started
okay.
about in the middle. We could see them in the beginning.
בכל הארץ.
Maybe start back in the middle where the subtitles disappear. I don't know if you can see
Okay,
that.
now it's okay?
Yeah, that's okay. Now it's okay. Yep.
Thank you.
But go back a little bit.
שימור בתי גידול,
שהוא נמצא בשמורת טבע מוכרת
Good.
וגם ייגע
Thank
בה.
you.
זה המורשת שאנחנו נשאיר לאלה שיבואו אחרינו, זה השטח שלנו.
כשאתה נמצא בתוך טבע, בתוך עולם שמכיל גם ירוק, גם בעלי חיים, דברים שהם שמורה לכל דבר. אתה חייב להיות חלק מתוך השמורה הזאת, אתה לא יכול להתעלם ממנו.
המיזם עוסק ב5 תחומים: שימור מינים בסיכון, שימור בתי גידול, תכנון מקיים שמירת טבע, אימוץ אתר, העלאת מודעות לשמירה על הטבע. עשרות מיזמים, אלפי חיילים בכל הארץ, ומפקדים שלוקחים אחריות ומחזירים אהבה לטבע.
העיסוק בטבע הוא סוג של הגנה ושמירה על המדינה, ועושה אותנו לחיילים טובים יותר, לצבא טוב יותר ולמדינה טובה יותר.
So, 12 years ago, when Eisenkot was the chief of staff, Professor Yossi Leshem and General retired Baruch Spiegel and Asaf Agmon came to him with a crazy idea that commander will take responsibility for their environment. Commander will lead projects. And I was sitting there and thought to myself, if the army can protect nature, yes, no. Because how can it be that an army that have tanks and so much power can be a protector of nature? But if you look at Israel map and you throw in the archaeological site, you can understand that the saying that everywhere you throw a rock here in Israel, there is an history site, archaeological site. It's true. And if I put the preserve area of the Nature and Park Authority, I can see it's covered only 25% of Israel territory. But if I put the army training area, and I don't speak about the borders line and everything, just the training area, the army is responsible for almost 50% of Israel territory. It means that everything that happens in those areas is the person is responsible is the commander of the unit that's responsible of this training zone. Everything from the flower to a cable of electricity. So those areas are preserved beautifully with nature and that is nowhere else to find. But to understand if the army can protect nature, yes or no, so you understand it's in the hand of the commanders. Like Brigadier General Erez Gerstein, who killed in Lebanon in 1999. He said to his all surroundings that you can only love a place only if you really, really know him. And this influenced the Gadi Eisenkot and Baruch Spiegel and Yossi Leshem and many other people. And then the army took upon himself the vision that he will be the leader of taking the nature in a perspective in every need of it. And we started the project with the ideas that we want to see a change, a real environmental change from the thing that they are now to a better future. And we want it to be continuously, that it can sustain for a long time. And we didn't give up on education. This is the base of what we're doing because it's the future. But for real, if you want to make a change in the army, you have to make the army understand that you need to take nature in consideration when planning and executing projects. So on those ideas, commanders volunteered to take responsibility for their environment, and more commanders joined in this initiative, a very special initiative. In those projects, we understand that the baseline is operation capability. We are talking about the army. The army has a role. He has to be operational. And also, it's a big organization. And like any big organization, you want to be efficiency at best. But also, the nature conservation is in our best interest of every project. And it's going through thanks to a partnership within the military side, the logistic corps that leads the operation, and the planning corps of the army, and of course the Ministry of Defense. And in the civilian side, you can see the SPNI, of course, the Society for the Protection of Nature, and the Hoopa Foundation that started this initiative, and of course the National Park Authority and the Antique Authority, and all together we are making a change. Like this one.
I can't quit you, babe. So I'm gonna put you down
Irises
for a while.
love the sand. Sometimes it's in the training zone. So what do? When they blossom, you mark them, and afterwards we came and took the flowers and put it in a safe place, in a safe area, in the training zone, but in a place that the tanks won't hurt him. Another example, a few years ago, a commander in the Navy called me and said that he's afraid that they might hit sea life on a daily basis. because of the routine work they have to do. So I was shocked, but afterwards we started an operation which involved that the soldiers were reporting for any sea turtle or a dolphin that they saw, and even we done an operation when we caught a sea turtle who came to shore to lay her eggs. We caught her, we put GPS transmission on her back, and let them swim. And through that research, we were able to give the soldiers guidance so how to still be operational, but without hurting the sea life that are so important. But then we had 65 projects like this all over Israel, from the Hermon mountain to Elat, from the sea to the Arava Valley. And the head of the initiative, the general of the logistic corps, called us and said, look, I'm scared. The climate change is real. There is more fires, there is more floods. What to do? I'm in the army. Tell me what to do. What do I need to do? But you have to understand, for the army, the climate change is critical. From the clothes the soldier wear to the point that the weapon is too hot to shoot and it doesn't work. So they have to understand the meaning of the climate change. And they defined it as a threat, as a security threat, that because of the climate change, the army won't be operational, and it has to be continuously operational at all time. And when he decided that, the IDF, the Nature Defense Force, became so much as a hub for development of nature-based solution specific for the army, when the nature is benefits, but also the military activity they need. And we started working not only in a project along Israel, also as a system change, top down, not only bottom up, from one unit to the regulator of a field, from bottom up to top down together, and making a change in a big system like the IDF. And we focus on the subject that they affect the army seriously, like fires, and vice versa. The army affects nature seriously on that matters. For example, wildfires. In a Lachish training base that's located near Bet Guvrin, Kiryat Gat, this is one of the most important nesting sites for the short-toed snake eagle, the beautiful bird you can see here in the picture with the yellow eye. In 2013, there was a big fire because of the training that were taking place. And it was terrible. After that event, Eisenkot asked us to try to make a change about fires in open grounds, in open training area. And the commander said, if you want to have a strong and fighting military, you have to have wildfires. It's part of the deal. But we thought maybe we can make a change. And with trust of the commanders, we started to talk with everybody that involved in the issue. And one day, after a few days of trust together, the commander told me, you want to see a wildfire? Come at 2 o'clock and you'll see a wildfire. I said, how do you know? He knows that he shoot a bomb to a bushing area, so there will be a wildfire. So we understand that we have to understand what the army needs. Where does it shoot at? And take care of that areas. And then we came up with a plan to how to manage the training area when you try to avoid wildfires. And after 2 years, the commander was so dedicated to the idea that we saw a major drop on wildfires in the training zone. But we wanted to make sure it's not a local commander that said, okay, I'm on it, that it's a massive change. So we checked for the last decade that we work on that subject from 2014. You can see the higher picture of 2014 till 2019, and the lower maps are 2020 till 2025. And you can see the amount of wildfires. When it's more red, it's more fires. It repeats on the same area. You see Lachish training base had changed a lot. And also on the right side, you can see the paratroopers training base. In the upper picture, the previous years, and the last years on the lower picture. So we can see a real change. And you can't blame them for not training for the past 3 to 5 years, of course. So we took this idea and we implement it on a conflict area. When every bomb who's going to fall into open area spaces are going to start a wildfire. 2 weeks from now, shooting from Lebanon will mean wildfires. I can assure you. But what happens if the fire trucks are from Tel Aviv originally and just coming to give backup? It doesn't know his surroundings. So we made a joint map for everybody involved that we can work together to save lives and to save nature. Another hurtful subject that the army is everywhere in the open fields is the subject of garbage and waste. The garbage affects all animals and it's everywhere. It affects what they eat, and sometimes you can see events like this. We got a call and we find a fox running with something on his head. And we looked closely, we saw what it was. Wait for it. Tchina can, a military tchina can that this young fox from the base behind wanted to try and taste, because army tchina is the best. But it's very dangerous for him, as you saw. So what do we do about it? From every subject, you start with data. You have to collect data in order to know how to manage the waste. So we measured 28 army bases with different kind of activities with the Technion protocol, and we measured how many waste does a soldier of different kinds is making in order to manage the subject well. And then part of the change was to change the trash bill. You can see here the trash is wide open for any mammal and animal and bird to go in and pick the trash. But on this one, underneath, there is no way they can go in and take the dirt out. So the army is changing the way he works and acts through the animal's eyes. And we don't forget the open fields, and sometimes you need simple solutions like a folding trash can that you can fit into your car when you're driving to your post, and then the animals cannot go into the dirt and take the garbage out. And in the end, we don't forget that the person that we speak about is a generation of young people when social media is the major tool. So we find a friend that she is a social media star and also a soldier. And then we make films in order to explain the soldier how to act correctly with the garbage and how to work accordingly to guidance and commands. Another interesting subject of the climate change is the heat or the shade. the missing shade in the army bases, because it's not always that easy to find a place in the army base to land a tree in the dirt, in the soil. Sometimes you have to be creative and make a mobile tree, a one that you can take and move when the army needs the space for a truck to go in this road. And sometimes the trees are the solution. This training base, Eliakim training base, hosts some 100,000 people a year. And the logistic unit on this training base has to have asphalt for all over the living area in order to make the logistic easier. In the end of every week, they want to come with the hose, wash everything out, and start again. But it created a different problem. First of all, the asphalt is very, very hot. In the summer, it's unbearable. Secondly, no water can go in the asphalt. So they go down, and in the end, there is a gas station of the base that gets hit by the water every winter. So we suggested a solution. We took a measurement of all the living area that it was the subject, and we measured how much water do we need to hold in order for the water not to go through to the next compound. And we dig a hole 2 meters deep, fill it with rocks. On top of it, we filled soil and planted trees. And now it's just beautiful. Not only is it beautiful, it's making shade, and when there is drone as a threat, it's also making a cover. So it's win, 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 win. And this is how it looks. Big hole, the asphalt draining into this hole, and the trees are happy, and so are the soldiers, and the birds, and the bees. You know, the subject of runoff is very, very complicated to the army because it affects everything. It's in one event can cause $1 million shekel damage with 12 hours. For example, the roads you can go through, when a river goes through the place, and even when an airplane is flooded, it's a very problematic and operational problem. And sometimes the soldiers get really hurt. You can see the flooding area. But in nature, you don't see the water like this, like mud and everything. Because the nature knows how to slow the water down, how to let them go into the soil slowly and find the way to do it. So in the nature-based solution, we try to imitate nature. For example, in the Eliakim training base that we saw, there is also a compound of training that is in a river area, but it's not a real river. It's a made river for a nature-based solution. Because every year this road was blocked and this compound was closed due to the floods. And we took the idea and make palms and waterfalls, and as nature acts, we act. And then for 4 years now, this area doesn't need treatment because the water knows how to act. Another example is
זה
the road,
השביל המוביל למטווחים, המטווחים מאחוריי. זה כבר כיוון הבסיס.
And buses cannot go through now to take soldiers back and forth.
בכל ים אי אפשר לסדר את זה.
So the training area is effectively
יותר מדי, זה בור ראשון.
We try to understand what is the value of of nature-based solution on roads, and we got to a conclusion that the army can save 120,000 shekels for every 500 meters of a road. It's a lot of investment that the army can save, and the activity can go on without any need to treatment. Another complex issue are the fences. The fences divides area and make trouble for the mammals to go through from one area to another. But actually, they always find a way through, and it's really bothered the army. Look at this. Look at the size of it. This white pig. Wow. So this is the northern border fence in 2023. Look as the big one go through as well. He's a bit scared, but he'll succeed. So what can we do about it? If we close the fence, if we close the fence in order the animals can go through, it can work, but only if we leave opening for them to get through. And those openings are monitored by cameras and other needs. And then you have a win-win, because the animal can go through and the army doesn't bother about it because it can monitor everything. And interestingly enough, every animal in the surrounding find those openings, and everybody move from side to side only in those openings, and the fence remain untouchable. And in the war, we started to see changes on nature. You can see the hyena here in his copy's mouth. You can see the wolves with a chicken in their mouth. Everything was different. So we started to monitor it, and we saw that as the war going stronger, you can see less and less presence of mammals near the border. There was actually none. They fled because they don't like to be in a war zone. So if you think if the war affect them, of course. And it affect the soldier as well. Now, those soldiers here are digging an archaeological site that is a military point of the Judean desert, the Judean army 2,000 years ago. And the paratrooper soldiers are moved very much to dig there and to board the line where their priest ancestor guarded as well. And here, those soldiers that are digging a synagogue in the Carmel mountain are not aware that 10 years ago, this synagogue was covered and only the top of this stone, Sumaka synagogue, was rising above the dirt. And it was used, as you see, as damage. And it was used for the targets for training. So when they discovered this is a synagogue, they start adopting him. And every Hanukkah, they light the candles over there in a beautiful ceremony. And I wish you will be there once with me to experience it. But the archaeological sometimes it's hard to see it. So we move it into the training unit and shows that the soldiers can be aware of their surrounding when they're moving from one place to another in their base. And now we are standing in front of a big, big challenge because the army is getting bigger, very much. It's going to be 30% bigger than it is today. It means much of training area that the army needs in order to be fit to fight. More than that, the technological of weapons is gone better, and now we have weapons to fire a longer distance. So you have to plan the training area from scratch all over again. We saw it as an opportunity to understand what the army needs, what the nature needs, and what the antique needs, and to see how to corroborate them in a holistic plan. Because if you understand the army needs it first, and then everybody can react and find a solution to how to preserve nature and let the army train, it's a win-win for everybody. And sometimes the army helps to preserve nature. For example, the army needs darker area to navigate them in order to practice. And we need the starlight, and we need dark to see the starlight. So it's a joint need for the army and for protecting nature. So the army say what it needs, and everybody can relate to that and see how it can be done in a better way. And all of this time that we work, we see the species diversity in our best interest. Everything data. The army is the best place to data.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
They see really special things. And, opa. Okay. So another special unit that come across the wildlife in a very specific way, in unique way, are the trackers, the army trackers. At first, they came up as a hunting as a hunting culture, and there was a very big tension between the trackers and the Nature and Park Authority. And we started a joint project that was meant to everybody to meet everybody, the nature, the people, and in the end, when a tracker that used to fear what they think of him if he see a wounded animal, open a stretcher and wait for the Nature and Park Authority to take the hyena back to rehab, to rehability in the hospital of wildlife in the safari, and then the hyena gets to get back into the wild where she came from. And sometimes when you track animals, sometimes you can track people. So we join up with a startup company that make an AI analysis of the picture and send it to the relevant people. If it's animal, we get the information. If it's people, the army gets, and we don't know it, don't know about it until it's okay for us to know. And in that way, from collecting so much data and with joint venture with another parties like Deshe Institute, we discovered that the army area, for example, the Jordan Valley area, the area that the army runs, are uniquely important for nature preservation. And if we talked about the Jordan Valley, the Eastern Front is very, very interesting, also in the military aspects, but also in the nature aspects. In the nature aspects, we started working there 10 years ago, 12 years ago, when Professor Eran Levin and Avia Matar, NPA person, discovered bats coming in and out of the old bunkers in the Jordan border, the Israeli-Jordan border. And they thought maybe if we can make small adjustment, just that the bats can hang from the ceiling, maybe we can see a change. And they were right. We saw a big change. Many bats came to live in those bunkers. It became one of the most important habitats for bats in Israel. There are 12 kinds of bats in the Jordan Valley alone in different bunkers. But it wasn't the end. We didn't knew enough. We had to get to a different project. Revive the Jordan River.
הירדן, מקום מפגש בין טבע, תרבויות ודתות. הוא מפריד בין מדינות, אבל גם משמש מקום של חיבור וצרכים משותפים. במשך אלפי שנים שימשו העמק והנהר לא רק כמקור מים, אלא גם השראה רוחנית לעולם כולו. מי הנהר מתחילים את מסעם דרומה בין שלגי החרמון, ומנגזים בדרכם את מימי הארצות השכנות לישראל, סוריה, לבנון וירדן. בסופו של המסלול מתמזגים המים המתוקים עם מימיו של ים המלח, המקום הנמוך ביותר בעולם. לאורך מסלול הזרימה שלו, מהווה הנהר מקור חיים למגוון ביולוגי עשיר במיוחד. מיקומו של הירדן בצומת היבשות, בטווח הגבהים שבו הוא עובר, מאפשרים מפגש של עולמות צומח ובעלי חיים אשר חלקם נדירים ביותר. מתקיים כאן עולם של טבע אשר משתנה ללא הפסקה, ובו מרבדי פריחה שצבעם מתחלף במהלך עונות השנה ומדבר קיצוני. הערוץ הזה הפך עם השנים לשטח סגור, נסתר ונעלם מן העין. בלתי נגיש למטיילים, לחוקרים ולאנשי שמירת טבע. היעדר הפיתוח אפשר לטבע להשתמר בו כמעט ללא הפרעה. זה אולם אשר פעיל גם בשעות הלילה הקרירות, ויש בו מארג אינסופי של יצורים שחלקם התגלה רק לאחרונה. בעונות הנדידה מתמלאים שמי העמק במיליוני עופות נודדים. זוהי תחנת העצירה האחרונה שלהם לפני חציית המדבריות של אפריקה. וכאן הם בוחרים לעצור למנוחה באחד מנתיבי הנדידה החשובים בעולם. החל מאביב 2023 התקיים סקר חלוצי באמצעות סירות נהר לאורך עשרות המקטעים בערוץ הירדן הדרומי, מחמת גדר בצפון והחיבור לירמוך ועד לשפחו בים המלח. במהלך השייט נערך מיפוי מקיף ותועדו הנופים, הצומח והיצורים החבויים בערוץ, כמו גם המפגעים הסביבתיים לאורך הנהר. בנוסף על צוות החוקרים, כללה המשלחת נציגים מצבאות ישראל וירדן, מרשות ניקוז ונחלים ירדן דרומי, מרשות הטבע והגנים ומהחברה להגנת הטבע. כל זאת בשיתוף פעולה בין-תחומי וחוצה גבולות. לראשונה נחשפו נופי נהר מרהיבים, ותועדו בתי גידול לחים, ובהם עושר צומח ובעלי חיים. לצידם אותרו מפגעים חמורים, התייבשות מקורות מים, זיהום, שאיבות לא חוקיות ממי הנהר וגושי פסולת שחסמו את זרימת המים. בעקבות התיעוד מוצאה פעולת ניקיון ראשונה מסוגה. כלים מכניים חילצו פסולת מהאפיק ומי הנהר חזרו לזרום. המידע שנאסף במהלך הסקר ישמש לשיקום הידרולוגי ואקולוגי ארוך טווח של הנהר שמקשר בין מדינות, תרבויות ודתות. לעמק הזה יש עבר עשיר ומגוון, והוא טומן בחובו גם הבטחה לעתיד. תיירות בת קיימא, הנגשה לציבור, שיתופי פעולה אזוריים, וגם תורמה לשיקום ים המלח ההולך ומתייבש. יכולתו של הנהר לחבר בין עמים ולא רק להפריד. ואם רק נשכיל לפעול יחד לשמרו, נראה את הירדן הדרומי מתעורר שוב לחיים.
So we needed the perspective from the river, and we made a joint venture with the Israeli and the Jordanian army, and together we are doing a survey from Hamat Gader till the Dead Sea, and it's a survey that hasn't been done for 150 years. This is the last time anyone goes through from the north to south through the Jordan River, and I have to say, he is amazing. And he will be more amazing once he will be rewild. So we understand that now the army is in combat situation, and nature has special abilities to help us when we need it the most. So we took this into consideration, and the army bases have the most beautiful places inside of them because they are in nature and it can help them. So we are making a combat processing area for the soldier to sit down and talk of the combat experience that they had in order to understand them better and continue with their lives. And now there are people in the field every day going with the soldier and explaining them about field marks. Eventually, the soldier fight in nature. And us as nature people see marks all the time. This is natural, this is not, what's this stone doing there? And we're asking a lot of questions about nature in order to learn about him. And it's a skill. And we teach soldiers in order for them to avoid traps that the enemy is laying there for them. And it's helpful very much. So, in conclusion, we come only with love. And now, I would like to order retired General Baruch Spiegel to say a few things.
Okay, thank you very much, Guy. Hello, everybody. My name is Baruch Spiegel, and myself and Professor Yossi Leshem and Guy Seli are managing this beautiful project, almost, I think, the anniversary of the 12 years of when we started. It was really a challenge. If this project will succeed, we have so many wars, we have so many operations, and always the focus is toward the enemy. And on the other hand, we have to keep and to protect the state of Israel, the internal part of it, the life of the people, and the open space, and all of the things that are going around to normal life. And after 12 years, we see that it's a really success story because it's a big educational challenge to educate the youngsters, then the connection between the army and the communities, then the families, when the soldiers retired and we have the reservists, almost every second person has to serve in the army by law. And when they adjust and when they adopt and they learn about the importance of the protecting of the nature, they protect the life of Israel, the normal life of Israel. And this is a real challenge that will never stop. And as General Eisenkot, when he was the chief of staff, declared that it makes the soldiers better, the human beings better, the soldiers better, the army better, and the state better. This is not just a slogan, it is a fact, and that's the reason that the army pay a lot of attention to this beautiful project that will continue as a part of the missions, the day by day or day to day missions of the of the army, of the commanders, of the soldiers, whoever. Second, we have long borders with our neighboring countries, especially between Israel and Jordan. It's more than 300 kilometers long, the border. With Egypt, it's 200 kilometers long. All Israel is 555 kilometers long. And a lot of interaction are in both sides of the borders. And the soldiers in the Israeli side, and I can give an examples of the soldiers in the Jordanian side, have the responsibility not just of the barrier and of the Jordan River and of the border itself. They have responsibility of all the area besides in a perimeter of 10, 15 kilometers both sides. And it's the life of the settlements. It's the life of the farmers, both sides. It's water, the Jordan River is a basin of water to Israel, to Jordan. Even there is a big problem with the scarcity of water in this area. But since the history, the Jordan River and the sources, the water sources of the Jordan River bring life for the people. Almost million people are living in both sides of the border. And because of the motivation of the two military organizations, Israeli and Jordanian, Jordan as an example, as I mentioned, you can see that the neighboring relations, even we have these terrible wars, and we have, you follow the news, I do not have to add anything about it. But on the other hand, we see how neighboring relations, joint economic interest, agricultural development, agricultural innovation, water, dealing with the water properly, water sharing, and all of these things bring the communities together and bring the life, and they are a positive security factor that helps the security to fulfill the missions, because it's coexistence and it's peace and it's people know each other. And that's an example how we can also use this nature, because everyone needs his piece of land. Everyone needs, for instance, a barn owl project. I'm sure that you heard about it from Yossi Leshem, how the barn owls, we use the barn owls as a organic fertilizer, because the barn owls eat the insects, thousands of insects, which damaging the field, damage the crops. And when the Jordanian learned a little bit about this project of the barn owls, how they can use the barn owls, and they learned how to build the nest boxes, and they saw that the crops are growing better. They pay much less money for chemicals because they do not need so many chemicals. And in the beginning, the Arab tradition, the barn owls, they called it boomer, and it's bad luck. The boomer brings bad luck, and no one wants to cooperate with our agricultures, our farmers, for this joint project. And then we invited some farmers to the Israeli side, and we taught them. They came and saw how positive can be this project. And then they started step by step to have these nest boxes now in Jordan and in the Palestinian side of the mountains sloping down to the Jordan River. There are hundreds and thousands, not speaking about the Israeli side, of this nest nest boomer or barnhouse nest boxes that are giving life for the people. It's unbelievable. And then the farmers, the hunters in the Jordanian side used to hunt the bad luck. They used to hunt the boomer. And now they are not allowed to hunt a hunter who hunts a barn owl. He get a fine and he can be put in jail. Okay, so they stop hunting because it was changed from bad luck to good luck. Then some schools, Israeli schools, Palestinian schools, and Jordanian schools started to have joint projects about the circle of life of the boomer, circle of life of the effect of the nature, and then it becomes one school from each side visited the school in the other side, even cross-border cooperation, all of these elements became together, and you see that also young generation start to learn about all of this in a positive way, and maybe even schools now have joint syllabus about and about all of these issues regarding to the nature and to the protection of the nature, and it brings not just the assets of the nature, it brings people to think peace and to develop neighboring relations, which are very, very important in our area. So it has also a huge strategic effect, and not just a domestic, also a regional one. We hope to continue with other countries this collaboration, and this is just a model how by focusing on or taking the nature as a very, very important element for life, and use the nature as a tool of coexistence, of peace, and of strategic relations, positive development between countries that have to find the way how to live together and to build peace together. So I wanted to add also these 2 points, the educational element and the coexistence and cross-border projects element, as a catalyst of being better states and a catalyst for coexistence and peace.
Thank you. Thank you very much, General Spiegel, for that passionate recap of a couple of the really important things. And Guy, wow, what a presentation. I mean, the scope of what you've done and the areas that you touch in nature conservation, it's really a microcosm of everything SPNI does, and then some, in my opinion. Really, really impressive in so many ways. Our friend Miroslav in Belgrade has one question. I'm not sure you know the answer, but maybe you do.
I'll try.
Is there any other country with similar cooperation between their army and their nature conservation people?
I know that there are cooperation like this. For example, in the Romanian border from Russia side, they flood the area in order to make swamps and also to make a strategic barrier between the Russian and the Poland area. Also, in the U.S., every unit have a ecologist that is supposed to learn about the area that the army is going to be there and the meaning of it. So there are some collaboration like this, but this is really unique because of its variety of organization that are partner in the cross-country cooperation.
Wow. Well, that is great, fascinating, wonderful. We're at the top of the hour here. I want to respect everybody's time. Thank you very much, General Spiegel and Guy. I'm sure we'll have you back next year with some updates. And appreciate it. I know Yossi Leshem was with us here today as well. Yossi, thank you for your role in this incredible initiative of the last 12 years. Really a little known in SPNI, I would say. I'm knowing Naama, doing back office tonight. I'm sure she is very impressed, as am I after 11 years in the Chevra. So, and having seen some of these sites up close, but to see the entire the michlol, the whole comprehensive picture of what you're all doing is very, very impressive on the national level. So thank you very much. And somebody writes here, Dan Pava, who's on our board in the U.S. and who's an environmental planner who worked in Los Alamos, that the U.S. federal government does it to some degrees as well. So yeah, I know that the American Navy is really figuring out the whole sea level rise issue, for example.
Exactly.
Uh, I'm sure that's going to be affecting us too. So Guy, Baruch, thank you guys very, very much. Thank you, Naama, back at home. I'm so glad we had a quiet night to do this here, at least in the center of the country and up north-ish where you are, Guy. Quiet night. So may it continue that way. And thank you very, very much. Thank everybody. Thank you all for being here. And you know where to find us with any questions or anything you'd like to know.
Thank you. I hope you enjoy.
Very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Toda rabah.